Hey, everybody, it's Tony George along with Sean Salisbury, host of the Sean Salisbury Show on iHeartRadio. Follow him on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Always a good read on Twitter. And we're talking Major League Baseball, and we got a battle of a couple of number one teams here in their divisions tonight. But before I get to that, I wanted to bounce something off Sean. There's another game going on back in your hometown right now. You got Kershaw taking on Greinke tonight. I know you probably talked about this on your radio show today a little bit. Big game down there in Houston tonight as well, Sean.
And Tony, along with that, for the first time in a homestand, maximum capacity is allowed in Houston there's only standing room only tickets. You got two Hall of Famers in Greinke and Kershaw. Both, while their ERAs are probably not exactly where they want them, but Greinke's 4-1 and has the ability to throw 60 mile an hour up there and shut you down, and then mix in all the stuff he does. And then Kershaw, while he may be in the low 90s and living there now, 6-3, and the Dodgers have won 9 out of their last 10. And even though they're injured offensively, they've got enough. Max Muncy's having a hell of a year. It's amazing they're 9-1 with Seager out and with Bellinger and the injuries that have gone on. But they're getting more production from Kenley Jansen at the back end with 11 saves, and at the Astros, leaving too many men on, and you can't walk base runners with your middle relief. They've got to stop that. But Tony, the atmosphere is going to be off the charts. And remember tomorrow, they can't stand Trevor Bauer in Houston, my man. I'm telling you, he's in their crawl. So while they're looking forward to this, and the atmosphere is going to be playoff-like, because neither one of these teams, for teams that don't play each other much other than a few games in a regular season and then in the World Series, they do not like each other. And Trevor Bauer going from Cleveland to there, and he's a great antagonizer, drives people crazy. He pitches tomorrow. So will benches empty at some point? Will there be a lot of taunting? It's going to have to take care of their business on the field. But this is one hell of a series. And then they go San Diego and Boston both come to town in Houston. So this homestand isn't going to be easy. And they've been the most recent game. Remember, they got swept by the Texas Rangers in Arlington. So the Astros got plenty to prove, and the Dodgers do too in this series. And it will be intense.
That's for damn sure. That's going to be tonight, and then again tomorrow is going to be must-see TV, folks. We're talking about the White Sox and the Cardinals here, and an interesting thing I ran across today, and Sean, I couldn't believe it when I read this. Giolito, the starter for the White Sox, and Flaherty, the starter for St. Louis, were high school teammates along with Max Fried. Could you imagine being that high school coach with that rotation, for crying out loud?
Yes and no.
Win a state championship.
Yes, yes, because it'd be great to have them. No, because if you lose 2 games during the year, the coach is like out of his gig, because you're like, well, those are 3 that you're not supposed to lose games with. You got that kind of people on your team. I didn't know that either. Flaherty's having a monster year right now. Hell, you could start him in the All-Star game. I think Tony's 8-0, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere in there. So he's kicking butt in a low ERA. And Giolito, while the record doesn't show, we know he's capable of shutting you down. And this is a really interesting game. But yeah, those guys, those 3 as high school teammates, come on, man. I had enough trouble playing against Billy Beane himself in high school on a regular basis. Now you add 2 or 3 of those guys into that caliber. Nah, I'm out, brother. No thanks.
Man, that's unbelievable. You talk about these 2 starting pitchers here tonight, and Flaherty's had a great year, 8-0, 2.53 ERA. They're 9-0 in all it starts. They have not lost a game when he's taken the hill. And Giolito started out rough this year, but if you take a look at the month of May, he's tossed out a 1.47 ERA. He's had only allowed 1 earned run in each of his last 4 starts. And you're going to have a pitcher's duel here in this one. And this jumped up from the White Sox, who won last night 5-1, I might add, from minus 135. Now they're all the way up to minus 145 against St. Louis. And you really want to take a look at that. They lost last night. They got the better starter on the hill, but then you got to put the brakes on when you see that line shooting up like that, Sean. And I think a lot of the reason for that is the St. Louis bullpen over an 8 ERA their last 5. And I think that gives people great pause after the 6th inning. They can hang on to something, especially if you got a 1-1 game or something like that here, or 1-0 game. And he's got close to 97 to 102 pitches, and they pull him. They stick that bullpen in there. That's when White Sox might put it to him. And I think that's probably what they're looking at tonight. That explains the line movement at least.
Yeah, no question about it. And you think, well, maybe Flaherty doesn't get us to the bullpen, at least until way late, right? With the way he's pitched this year,
Right.
Tony. But the White Sox, even with injuries, can mash. I look at this, and I was looking at run differential, Tony. Think about this now. They're in a bad division right now. The White Sox are in first place by a game and a half over Cleveland. Cleveland's run differential, they're -1 over the season, and they're just a game and a half out. The White Sox are plus 70 in their run differential.
Yeah.
So it's a 71 run swing, and yet the Cleveland Indians are hanging around. But the White Sox, we know they're starting to look, and when they get healthy, like the White Sox, who were highly publicized in kind of like the Padres in the National League, they're starting to live up to how we hyped them in the preseason. Giolito's masterful. This is just when you say under, and all of a sudden, bam, you're waiting. Is Flaherty going to finally, give up some runs? I love the bats in this game, but I also love the pitching. And a great pitcher will tell you, if you get a team that strikes out a lot or is mashes and that doesn't put the ball in play batting average wise, then you'd rather face those guys, the mashers, than you would the guys who constantly grind on you. The line moving, yes, but I like the pitching staff. I think it's a grind night game. I think it's a grind, Tony, to get to 8.5 runs. I do like the under in this, but a lot of it, you'll get a better idea in the first 2 or 3 innings and how these pitchers are going and how deep they're going to get. Because if the bullpen comes in for St. Louis, that's the time, as you mentioned, you could have a couple, 2 or 3 big innings on the backside. A lot of success with overs for me and in Major League Baseball, but I do like the under on the surface from the pitching staffs in this game.
Yeah, you worry about. I worry about Flaherty only because he's been stellar, but however he's pitched against some of the lowest scoring teams in the National League recently.
Right.
Pirates twice, Brewers within his last 4 starts. And I think the Sox are a lot bigger challenge for him here. And with that bullpen there, I'm going to go ahead and take you're leaning under. We're going to give you, it's 2 for Tuesday. I'm going to take the White Sox here. I think they get them on the back end late in the game, Sean. I think it's going to be, I'm not willing to bet the first 5 innings under 4 because you're going to see both these pitchers through 5 innings. And if they stay true to form, at least on paper, you might have a 1-0, 2-1 type game, and it might look attractive, but I want to see how Jack does against a really, really good team here. And hey, if he comes in there and pitches, 95 pitches and gives up, 1 earned run and 4 or 5 hits and maybe walks just 1, keeps his whip down, then I'm going to be 100% believer because you can't throw away 8 straight wins with the guy.
Agreed.
He's unbeaten.
Right.
But I think if he's going to get beaten, it's going to be on the road, and it might be against the White Sox. So we'll see what they do here.
I couldn't agree more, Tony. This is a team, if you don't love watching the White Sox play, too, the way they have the energy, you just look at the St. Louis appears to be back. They've got some bats. When St. Louis is good, pitching's been dominant, and Jack Flaherty's been phenomenal. I'm with you. I think this is a game that maybe on the back end the White Sox pull out. But if Flaherty does his job against the White Sox tonight, people's better start to take notice because you're talking about undefeated and unblemished, and we're not even anywhere near the All-Star break yet, which could be a monster year. And if this continues, it's going to be a fun year for him, and he's staring the Cy Young right in the face at the midway point.
There you go, folks. Sean's leaning under, and I'm going to lean Chicago White Sox. There's your 2 for 1. Check him out on iHeartRadio. Go over, subscribe, thumbs up, all those good things over there with Sean on his show, the Sean Salisbury Show. And, of course, at Sean Unfiltered on Twitter. Real quickly, Sean, I know you work with this guy a little bit. A little sad departure last night as Kenny Mayne left SportsCenter. I love Kenny Mayne. I know you work with him, and you put out a nice tweet about him today. Good guy.
Thanks. Yeah, let me tell you, Tony, he is the most – and when I say underrated, people think, well, was he good? He's as brilliant and as clever as we have in the business. And everybody in the business knows it too, right? As I said, he is, to me, I think he's the most underrated talent in the building. I think he should have been and should be. And I love, the company was great to me for 12 years, ESPN, but That dude's worth every penny, whatever he was making. That dude he should have been in our living rooms every night, 5 days a week on SportsCenter.
Yeah.
I think he's that good. And he's got a great sense of humor. People love being around him. He works his butt off. He's a great features guy. I actually think he was underutilized. I wanted more. Like when Scott Van Pelt started, we always said, we want more Van Pelt. Well, we got him. And Van Pelt's phenomenal. Same with Kenny Mayne. You get him on a SportsCenter, and then he's doing a feature. Say, let me bundle this up and get him every single night, whether it's at 6 o'clock or 11 o'clock SportsCenter. I got to have Kenny Mayne in my living room. I'd be standing in line if I was a network to hire him. I would. He's a great team player, a dear friend, a great talent, great family guy. He is as good a person as you'll ever meet, and his talent damn near matches that. And that's saying something because he's so gifted, and there's not a better guy. And I've had some of my best laughs ever. This dude is lights out when it comes to skill set on television.
You know, I always thought, on ESPN, and I worked for him not as long as you did, and I was just on the radio side of things. I wasn't near the talent that you were and some of those guys. But at the end of the day, when they started that Van Pelt show, I said, wouldn't it be nice if they had a 1-2 kick with Van Pelt and Mayne on, going back and forth every night? That wouldn't be just sports television. That would be entertainment television.
Oh, those no question. And you wouldn't have to have you could sports theme, entertainment, laughs, jokes, gambling. I mean, those guys are great at all of it, right? Yeah. Those two. And what's interesting about him, he's like the guy in the NC2A tournament that people within college basketball are like, "Ooh, that's a 1 seed." You know what I'm saying? At the low end, you're going to give him a 2 seed just because he's not on every night. And then outside of basketball, people are saying, "Oh, he's like a 7 seed," because you don't see him enough. And then you realize after about a game, you say, "Ooh, no, that's a 1 seed. Let's move." And then he rolls through the tournament. And when it's all said and done, you're like, "Why are you surprised? Kenny Mayne's as talented as anybody on TV." Yeah, you're on to something there, buddy. If you could ever pull that, like a Van Pelt, Kenny Mayne back and forth. I want them as a hot take show going back and forth, right? Forget the host role. Let them go after it. You're right, man. Kenny Mayne will do great, and he's got plenty of great years in TV. I appreciate you asking me the question. Phenomenal, phenomenal human being.
Yeah, well, if they can't get it together, they always can go back to Salisbury and George. You may have to make that PG-13 when we get to going, but other than that, put us on HBO or something.
There you go.
Sean Salisbury. I'm Tony George. Thanks for tuning in today, folks. Best of luck tonight.